Hi, Ann Cornick from Paint and Porcelain. I'm here to teach beginners how to get started in China painting and also to recruit experienced painters to paint along with me. And today we're going to be working on the second step in our second fire for our bunny. And this is the bunny tile that we did. Now with the bunny tile, one thing I will tell you that I noticed was that when I fired this tile, it was actually the blue is a little too light, and you want to be able to put the snow in on this next fire. So what I would recommend, and what I did, is first of all, if you're going to be painting it, put the blue on darker on the first fire, and then when you fire it, it's fine. But if not, after you fire your first fire, put the blue background in again, making it darker, and fire it again. That way you won't mess up the bunny or any of that. So that's something to keep in mind if you want a darker blue background. I've actually changed to a smaller palette so that you can kind of see my palette here with all my colors on it. We're going to be using the same thing, yellow brown 2, a regular yellow brown, a rich brown, black, baby blue. I put warm brown gray on here because I just like it. And I have it, but if you don't have it, you don't need it. And the other thing that we have on here is the yellow red, which we'll probably be using too. So, okay, I have my bunny. Now I did fire the second fire on my bunny, and this is how he turned out. So I just wanted you to be able to see, this is the final version of the bunny with everything finished on him. And I was real pleased with the way it turned out. So now I have this one that we're going to be working on. We're going to start with a 1/4 inch brush, a square shader. You always kind of clean it, make sure that you don't have any paint in it. And we're going to be using our yellow brown, just regular yellow brown, and going through and making sure that we have enough yellow brown wherever we need it. So I'm using strokes that imitate the fur. So you see how the fur goes down here? My strokes are going down. I'm going straight down on the bunny. I'm using a side load, but then I'm using almost a flat stroke and going right down on the bunny like that. Okay, and that's the best way to get that fur feel in there. I'm also going to do a little down in here. And I think it could use a little more yellow brown on his back. So I'm going to start at the base and work up. Here, get a little more paint on there. Just to put a little more color in there. Need a little oil. And I think you'll find that this is going to work really, really well for you. I'm also going to do it here. I noticed when I did this second bunny that I really didn't need these haunches right here to show up quite so prominently. I have one that I did, and unfortunately the tile cracked. But this is one that I did, and you notice I don't have those little haunches, and I thought it looked a little better. And so I've kind of removed them, figuring the fur would cover them. And so I'm now just painting over them with a light yellow brown so that I can kind of just, I have a base to work with in order to make it a little darker. I'm going to put a little yellow brown up here, maybe a little yellow brown here, and here, a little under his chin. But again, you're just using it as a straight stroke, just to kind of put the color back in wherever you feel it needs more color. And a lot of that has to do with how much is already fired out. And you're just putting this is the golden color. You're not putting the dark color in yet. Okay, so I put a little hit there. Okay, so I put it here, 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 a little down here on his back. That's mainly where I did it. Okay. Now I'm cleaning my brush again, and this time I'm going to use yellow brown 2, and I'm going to put a full load of yellow brown 2 on my brush and a side load of the rich brown. And I'm going to test it on my palette, and the reason I'm on my tile, and the reason I'm doing this is because I want to make sure that it's going to give me the right mix I want. We're about to go back and basically just kind of redo the shadows. Just a little straight stroke up there. It looks kind of dark right now. It shouldn't look dark when we're done because all the other colors will be more enhanced. We're also going to do inside his ear. Okay. We're going to do a little bit of the tip of his ear. When you do the tip of his ear, you turn it around and you pull it out. I just did the kind of the lower part, and then I'm just going to use the side. It doesn't have much paint on it to pull it out. Going back into the yellow brown, full load, side load of the rich brown. We're going to do a little on his back here. The long strokes again. And then we're going to start backing up his fur. Now this is really important to give him that furry feel. You're just going to do short, choppy strokes. You see how I did that there? We're going to do short, choppy strokes under the fur. This is the fur, the coming out. Now we're going to obviously kind of smooth this and make it more furry and soft, but this just gives you an idea. We're also going to do a little here on the front of him. So we're going to do here, here, here. A little down the front there. Here, here, here. And then, most importantly, we want the little chest here, this little chest here. We're going to back up that little furriness there, and I'll show you how it turned out on this tile. See how the furriness turned out? I've got to get real close for you. So in order to do that, you need to have something to go into. So you're just going to, same thing like we did up here under his chin. You're just going to go in like this and make it kind of uneven. And turn it and look at it. Decide if that's what you want it to look like. Another place that you want to put a little bit of dark fur is on his feet. And that's right here. These are his little feet down here. And we're going to go here. I'm just side loading now with rich brown. I don't have the other color on there. And here. And here. Okay? And then finally, you want a little bit of the dark at the base here. So I'm going to put in a little down there and a little at the base of the tail. And then I'm going to turn it this way and bring a little of the brown up his back. Like that. Okay, so that's what I have so far. Now it needs to be smoothed. This is my favorite brush for smoothing. It's a quill brush. And the reason I like to smooth with it is because it's one of those that just, oops, it's got red in it. It's one of those that just really, really is easy to use to smooth with. It's been well worn, and that's important. So I'm going to take the brush. I'm just going to put a little oil on it and a little bit of the color, and I'm just lightly brushing this down. Now I think you'll notice it the most on this side. See how I have it now? Kind of choppy. I'm just going to see how much smoother that is? It's a very light touch. Same thing up here on the ears. Same thing back here on the tail. Then turn it upside down. And you're going to do a little in here. Well, I actually think I'm going to have to pull down because I'm pulling away from that fur up there. okay? So that gives you a real nice look to it. Okay. Now I'm going to redo his little nose with a little bit of red. Nothing fancy, but just enough so that his nose is a little pinker than it was. And I think, in looking at this, I want a little more yellow-brown on the end of this ear right here. So I'm going to do that. So now you stand back and you look at him and you say, what does he need? Well, he needs a couple of things. First of all, he needs the fur to look more like fur. And so we're going to work on that a little bit. I'm going to get my Paintnporcelain. You need to let this set up a little. You can't do it just right off the top. So you do need to let it set up a little before you use your Paintnporcelain, or it will make dark lines that you won't really care for in there. Okay, and I noticed that I could use a little dark here. I'm just using a very light brown. And maybe a little dark under here. There, okay. And perhaps a little dark on the ends of this second ear, the lower ear. But these are adjustments that you make based on what you see on your piece. Everybody's is going to turn out a little different, so you have to decide what you want. And on the ears and on the areas that stick off into the blue, you are going to want to take a minute and sort of come out into that blue. So let me show you like this. Not a lot. That might be a little too much there. Wipe it back a little. But you do want it to be look a little furry. Okay. Okay, I'm going to take my black, just a little bit of it. Let me put this down for a minute. I'm going to take my black, put it on my tile, and I'm going to get my Easy Flow. This is Amp's Easy Flow. I usually use the one that dries, but today I'm not going to worry about it. This one works pretty well. I'm just going to clean my palette knife, dip it in real gently, a little bit. And then I'm going to mix up my paint. And if your paint isn't runny enough, you might want to get a little more on your palette knife. I wouldn't use a dropper because, oops, I can't, there we go. Because I think a dropper would be almost too much. I take a little more paint now. I put a little too much on there. There we go. Okay. Seal this up. I'm going to side load onto my pen enough that I can just do, and I'm going to go back now and I'm going to look at what needs cleaning up. Yours will be different than mine probably, but I think I'm going to start, oops, right here. Maybe up here a little bit. I'm sorry, it's hard to hold this up and do it. I'm going to go a little bit around the eyes. Now this eye could use a little cleaning up and a little more color. So I'm going to use a slightly different brush in a minute to do that. And down here on the little toes, just to make sure that the color's there. Okay. And I'm going to go up in here. Oh, got to get a little more on there. I'm going to go up in here. And I'm going to do a little on this side of him too. There we go. Okay, then I'm going to take, I have a really, really cool, this thin little brush that I use all the time. This is my, oh, this isn't my thinnest brush. Let me get my thinnest brush. Here it is. This is my thinnest brush. And it's a rounded quill brush. And I'm just going to take a little bit of the black on that rounded quill. And I'm going to put it around his eye because his eye is not really dark enough for me. It has a couple little white splotches. Now remember, black can chip off, so sometimes it's better to do it in 2 stages than to try to make it really dark all at once. But you want him looking up because he's going to be looking at the snow. The other thing I'm going to do that I haven't done yet, now I'm going to take in my rich brown. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't want rich brown. I want my yellow brown. 2, the yellow brown number 2. Let me put this down for a second. I'm going to use my Easy Flow again. And I'm going to make up a little bit of pen ink. Now you can use regular oil. I never much had a lot of luck with it, but you can use just your regular oil. You don't have to go out and buy this fancy stuff if you're only doing a few things once in a while. But I will tell you that the Easy Flow really works well for me. And I was one of those people that could never get the pen to work for me. So if you've had issues that way, let me just clean this up a little here. You may want to purchase the Easy Flow. It's from Dallas, China, and I find it's well worth the money. Okay, I'm going to do the bottoms of the paws now, just down here to define them. And I'm just going to do it. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do this, but it's hard to do pen work. And hold it. I'm just rounding out his toes. If it gets a little blurred or a little in a place you don't want it, just take a brush, go back and clean it up. You can do that fairly easily. Wherever you have paint that you don't want it, okay, and those are his little paws, so his paws are done. Okay, so the detail is now done. Now we need to put the detail in the fur. And I noticed one other place where I wish I'd had a little more color, and that's up here on the top of his forehead. So I'm just going to take, I think yellow brown would be better to put there, and I'm just going to pull a little yellow brown through. Okay, so it's a little better defined. Alrighty, now this is the tricky part. And you can do this a couple of ways. You can start with your Paintnporcelain if you want. And you can just start pulling down. You got to clean the Paintnporcelain fairly frequently. And you're just going to pull down. The paint is set up a little bit, so it's not going to come off if you pull it down. Now, you see the lines are really prominent there. I'm not going to leave them that way. I'm also going to go down here and pull it, and this is where you can see it much better. Let me do this closer to you so you can really see it. Clean your Paintnporcelain frequently. I found with my Paintnporcelain I actually had to glue it on because it kept falling off. Okay. I'm sorry, but doing it the direction I was doing it. It's really easy to pull towards yourself. Oh, that was obviously too far. And a little bit right here. Okay. Now I'm taking that brush I like. This is my nice smoothing brush, and I'm just gonna go in, oops, make sure I don't have, I think I have color on it. Let me get the color off of it and put it in my lightest color. Okay, and I'm just gonna pull lightly. I had a couple little globs there, and I have a little glob here, so let me just get rid of that. Okay, and these I'm just gonna, okay, now here you can really see how it's not, it's got lines and things. You're just gonna lightly pull over that. See how it gets rid of those lines? Same thing up here. You're just gonna lightly, you see how I have lines up there? And you're just gonna lightly pull down. Gets rid of the lines, still gives you that really cute look. Now, I'd like a little more fur coming down right about in there. So now I'm gonna cheat. I'm taking my liner. Now I have two liners. I have a short liner and a long liner. You can use either one. I think I found the short one worked better. I've got my white now. And I'm just gonna put the white on here. I'm gonna make sure it has some oil with it. And I'm gonna test it on my tile first. I'm just gonna pull it down real lightly. I don't even know if you can see how it helps. I'm kind of over my work, I know. I'll try to stay away. The reason I'm using the white here is the lightest color here, right there, is white. And I'm pulling that color away from the others. So that's why I'm using the white. Same thing with up here. Get a little more. I'm going to pull a little more here. The other thing it will do is it'll soften things if you need them softened. Okay, now I'm done with the white. The next color I'm going to use to give me a little bit of texture is I'm going to go here, and the lightest color here is the yellow brown. I'm going into my yellow brown, and I'm just flicking, flicking, flicking. I'm not doing anything too crazy with this. I'm just flicking it. And then I'm going to go to the next darkest color. And then I'm going to go to the last darkest color, which is the brown. That you can really see. And I'm just going to pull that down. And that will give you a little more of that furry look to him. Then you're going to pull a little bit off his back. See how I did that? I just pulled lightly out. Using a little bit of the brown here, and I'm just, that's how I kind of did it. Only I will do it lighter now because obviously I don't want it quite that dark. And then blend it into the other fur. And the final thing will be your tail. I'm going to use this this little brush that I have, the little rounded one. And I want the end of the tail back here to be light. So I'm going to start with the white, and I'm going to pull out the white. Then I'm going to start with the yellow brown and go in and do the yellow brown until I get it, and then I work down to the other yellow brown. until I get it just as fluffy as I want it. And if I need a little bit of dark at the base, I can go into my darker brown and just pull it out. Let me turn it this way. You see how that little tail came out all nice and fluffy? That's what you want. Okay. So then stand back, look at it, decide if you need anything. And you might take, with a fine brush like this, it's almost a liner, but it's not quite, and just put back in any of the dark you took out that you think might really help it, because there's always a chance that, you know, it will help. And if you think you need a little more color here or there, you can do that. I want a little more color here at the base. I can do that. I can do that. If I want to define the little earlobe a little more up here, I can do this. And that gives you a little more ear. Okay, so that's what your bunny is going to look like. Next step is to darken the blue in the background if you want to. But like I said, I did it in between fires. I did the bunny with the background, fired it. Then I came back and did the background by itself. I'm just going to put a little more light in here. I don't know if you can tell, but look at that. And then watch when I add the white what it does. It really does make it look. Can you see the little white there just where I added it? It does make him look a little frilly. Okay, and then you're going to need to put in his whiskers. You're going to have to do this very quickly. I might try it with the liner. It's always difficult to get the whiskers. You're not going to be able to see them, unfortunately, but they are there. And if you look at the drawing or the painting up close, you can see them. But they are there. Okay. You're going to go back in now and look at your little twigs. I use a liner for this. I take the liner and I just go back in, and if I think the twig needs a little more oomph, I will give it a little more oomph. Of course, you signed your name on the last time, so there's no reason to do that. Look at the little one on the ground. Okay, look at this one here on the ground. And then look at your berries. Now my berries turned out pretty nice and red. So I don't think I really need to do any more with the berries. So the final thing is, and let me just wipe this tile off real quick. You're going to use whatever you're more comfortable with. Some people like base for raised gold, and this is what mine looks like. And it's gooey. You get here. You can see here it's gooey. And it will work pretty well. The only thing I don't like about base for raised gold, and I think I can show you here, is when you put it on. Let me put it on the side here. A lot of times it gets a little point on the end, and that point when you fire becomes harsh. I kind of prefer having a point, no point, and it's really hard to, even though you might swirl it around to try to get rid of it coming to a point when you pull it off. So I also have enamel. This is my enamel. It looks about the same. And the only thing I found with the enamel is when you put it on as these little dots, when you fire it, it tends to fire flat without that little point on it. And so I'm going to go over what I had there. And this is a stylus that I have that I really like. And you're going to put the enamel on the bunny so you can see it falling down. Try to keep it off the important parts of the bunny, but you know, some of the little parts of the bunny. And then you're going to just put it in the sky randomly. So oops, got a lot on there. I'm going to swirl these a little. If you swirl the little dots, it seems like it helps knock them down and make them less noticeable. I don't know if you can even see those on there, but yeah, I think you can. Need a little more. So that's my bunny. He's ready to be fired. That's how he turned out. I'm pretty happy with the way he turned out. I hope you enjoyed painting along and learning how to do the bunny. Hi, I hope you enjoyed the program, and I hope that you will watch future programs by liking and subscribing to my page. If you do subscribe, I would really appreciate it so that other people who have a similar interest will be able to see more of this kind of programming. I have studies available at my website along with products. If you're interested in finding out more about those, please look at the description box below. Thank you.